Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Very Right or Very Wrong, a show where we take a look at the newest trailers, usually comic book related, and see how they can go in the right direction or the wrong direction. Today we are talking about Aquaman, which was another trailer released during San Diego Comic-Con. I actually saw Jason Momoa there, and I gotta say, love the Aquaman cast. That was cool. And the trailer came out around the time I was waiting for that. So I actually watched this trailer several times, because even from the minute I saw it while I was at the con, I have been struggling to figure out what I think about it. Like, there was something about it that was bugging me. I don't know, it just wasn't working for me the way I think it should, because based on what I see in the trailer, it should be working for me. I should be excited, but I'm not. And it took me a while to kind of realize what it was, and I think I got an idea what it was, so that's what I want to talk about today. So yeah, unfortunately, as much as I want to go the other way, I'm gonna have to say this is how Aquaman could go very, very wrong, and we're gonna start the usual way. Let's talk about the pros. Alright, first up in the pros, let's talk about the general design of the film as we see in the trailer. I do like that this is in the same way the Shazam trailer was, and that it's clearly embracing the out there concept of the character. It's definitely going all or nothing. You see Atlantis, you see all the fish armies. There are sharks with freaking laser beams on top of their heads. There are seahorse, like giant seahorses you can ride. All it's missing is just the Aquaman going which I'm kind of sad isn't in there, but anyway. Black Manta looks awesome. The design for that costume looks great. Underwater sea fights look epic, and this huge scope is like Lord of the Rings but underwater. All that stuff looks fucking cool. And I really don't have anything else to say about that, so the next pro.
Permission to come aboard.
Jason Momoa. So let's talk about Jason Momoa for a bit. Now, Jason Momoa was one of the better things in Justice League, but I use that term loosely because I still don't really know if the surfer bro motif kind of goes with Aquaman as a character, or even like if it'll work in this interpretation of the character. That's still kind of wait and see, but that being said, Jason Momoa still looks like he's having a lot of fun here. He's embraced this character. He clearly wants to do it justice. It's not a phoned in performance by any stretch of the imagination. It looks like he's trying to have fun. It looks like he is gonna have fun, and it might be fun to watch as a result. So I'm excited for Jason Momoa. Next pro.
My brother has come from the surface to challenge me for the throne.
The villain. I mean, I've already talked a bit about Black Manta. I don't really know how prominent he's going to be in the film. That's going to be a topic I'm going to discuss later in the con section, but for now, his costume looks awesome. It really does, like, again, unlike Aquaman, oddly enough, the translation between comic to film really is quite striking here. It's really cool to see that the kind of goofy costume work well in live action, and also the other villain played by Owlman. I forget his name, and I forget the character's name, but that guy, it does look like if they play it well, they can have as good like Shakespearean conflict going on, like all very like royalty and battles and epic scale wars and all that stuff. The stage is set for that to work on that kind of scale, and hopefully it does. I want to see them succeed with this, because you want an Aquaman movie to work, just so people will shut up about Aquaman sucking as a character. Honestly, like, that's more than anything else, is kind of why I want this movie to work out fine, is because you know what? Aquaman isn't that dumb of a character. He hasn't been since Super Friends. He's got some pretty sweet powers, and he's actually got a pretty sweet character, and has some really good stories over the years. And he's honestly a pretty huge badass, but everyone just kind of remembers Super Friends, and that kind of fucks up everything. So again, they have the stage set for a good, like, Shakespearean action movie, and that could work in its favor if they do it well. I also want to give credit to Mira, who I did not like in Justice League, because that wasn't necessarily the actress's fault. That's more like she was just there to be a exposition dump, basically. And this one, she definitely plays a more prominent role. She's the love interest in this film, from what I'm gathering, and she definitely looks the part. And like the suit and stuff, again, going back to the design, that looks great. We'll see if she actually is like a good actress for the role. I'm not very familiar with other works, but again, I'm hoping she does well. I hope he and Jason Momoa bounce off well each other. From the trailer, it's kind of hard to tell. They tend to cut the quips and stuff in random order, so it's hard to tell what follows what. Okay, last one I'm gonna say for this one. I really like how they cleverly use the water effects in the underwater scenes to really highlight like the kind of actions going on here. My favorite shot in the trailer is the part where like apparently Aquaman and his brother, his half-brother, in the stadium, and they're fighting and they're dueling like the boom, 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 and there's just a part where like they get punched so hard like the water, they create a bubble that the water escapes from for a minute, or like some kind of huge shockwave goes through the crowd and they're all like this. Then they all look at each other like, did that just happen? Fuck yeah, dude! And something like that. It really works for me. Here it is, just for reference. So the style of it looks pretty good. Stylistically, it's interesting. There's a lot of cool visual elements. It does look a little cartoony, CGI-wise, but again, with a character like this, with laser sharks and fucking rideable seahorses, you can't really avoid that. This trailer looks like it just goes all in, and I respect it for at least going that, like, having the balls to do that and not try to like gritty it up like they did with Superman and Batman. This is a case of like, no, let's just, like, the best comic movies are ones that inherently understand the silliness of what's going on and embraces it. And this one looks like it definitely embraces it. That gives me some hope for the future. That's the last pro I have, so let's talk about cons. Okay, first major con, and I kind of have to, I know I talked about this in the pro section, but I have to talk about it again here, not because of the actor necessarily, but because of the writing, the direction they're taking the character. I have to talk again about Jason Momoa. So again, I don't blame the actor for this. I blame the interpretation they've chosen to go with this character, because I can't talk about my feelings on this interpretation of Aquaman without talking about Justice League. Aquaman, this interpretation of Aquaman was very much born in this hyper-masculine obsession that Snyder tends to have with his male characters. He had it in 300, he had it in Watchmen, he had it in Batman vs Superman, he has it in Man of Steel, and it was clear in Justice League too. But Aquaman in Justice League definitely felt like the accumulation of like every testosterone-fueled hypermasculinity bullshit that Snyder seems to have a thing for. Now, I'm not saying all his movies are like that, because Sucker Punch was kind of like the counter-argument for that, but not a whole lot of people like Sucker Punch. But anyway, my point is that Zack Snyder's Aquaman was very much born in that bro, surfer dude, like, I'm gonna fucking fight, I'm not very smart, but I can fucking fight, I'm gonna take you on, motherfucker. That kind of hyper-masculine bullshit, and it's a trend that is going out of style, and honestly, for good reason, but it's still present here because that's the character that John Wan was left with. Yeah, I have issues with it, and I don't necessarily blame Jason Momoa, because again, for that interpretation of the character, Jason Momoa is a good choice, and again, he is still having fun with it. But I think the way this is presented doesn't really lend itself to a very good Aquaman adaptation. And again, I'm not opposed to like changes from the source material. I made a whole video about how I think you can do that and pull it off fine. But it's more like, if you're gonna make changes, they have to be interesting, and hypermasculinity is just not interesting. They have to try harder to make the character work now because of the template that came before. Now, Aquaman in the comics, he's very royalty. Now again, Aquaman's not a character I'm 100% familiar with. Other Aquaman fans and aficionados can probably educate me more in the comments if they wanted to. But from what I gather, he is royalty, and he owns that royalty role. He's kind of proud, a little bit proud, but he's not like this surfer bro, quipping machine kind of character. And again, I don't have problems with quip. Again, most of my issues with masculinity and the surfer bro thing. Now, granted, you can make the argument that this movie is about his ascension into royalty and how he becomes the king and how he learns how to be kingly and embrace that role. So you can argue this is his journey to become more like the traditional Aquaman we know and love. But for right now, I'm not really seeing it. I don't really see him being king of anything. I don't even see him as like a store manager at Burger King. So I don't know. That's a wait and see, but it is cause for concern. Next con, the story structure. Now, again, this is only a 2-minute trailer. There's only so much I can glean from this, but from what I can tell right now, this movie is gonna do the same thing that Justice League did and like Amazing Spider-Man 2 did, where there is just too much going on. It doesn't know how to balance it. It's gonna be a fucking mess. And again, I hate to be the guy to say it, because again, a lot of stuff looks cool, like Keen Oren looks good, I looked up the name, and Black Manta looks cool, but I don't know why they're in the same movie. That's my big problem, because I think you can either do Keen Oren or Black Manta, but you shouldn't do both. because they are vastly different characters with vastly different motivations, and I don't see them clashing in a way that won't feel like an incoherent mess. And honestly, they're strong enough characters. They should both get their own movie. I don't know why Warner Brothers is shoving them in together. Maybe because they don't trust Aquaman enough as a property to think that'll get a sequel? I don't know, but as it stands right now, it doesn't make much sense why they're throwing this into the same movie other than pandering to the fans, which is something that Warner Brothers has been doing since Man of Steel. That's what they do. That's one reason why Batman vs Superman was fucked up. That's one thing I hated about Justice League. It doesn't look much more promising here. Now, to be fair, it looks like Warner Brothers is stepping back a bit to let James Wan do whatever he wants with the movie, or at least get him his own like creative flair to it. That's why it looks as outlandish as it is, and that's a good thing. It's good that it looks outlandish, because Aquaman movie should be kind of outlandish, because it's not on land, it's underwater, where fucking giant sea monsters exist. You should be crazy. But yeah, it kind of falls back into putting one too many villains into your movie, and then you have to divert into all these different like story threads, all these B plots that don't mush together because there's no reason they should be in the same 2 hours. I'm not sure how long Black Manta is in it. Maybe he's only there to set up the sequel. I don't know. But either way, from what I've seen, I'm not... that worries me. And that leads me to my biggest con, which is more concerned with the studio, I think, than the movie, and just how little faith I have in it, which is damage control. Because this movie is kind of what that feels like to me. It doesn't really feel like Warner Brothers trusts this movie at all. I don't feel like they respect the character. I think they still kind of think of him as a joke, so a lot of the stuff they're doing with this feels almost out of obligation than actual passion and faith in the project. Again, it feels like it's trying to pick up the crumbs from Zack Snyder's Justice League and make something coherent out of it. From this trailer, I don't get the feeling that this is a movie they wanted to make, but it was already in pre-production by the time Justice League came out, so it feels like they just had to do it. And the main reason I say that the studio doesn't really have a whole lot of faith in this movie is that, well, it definitely has a creative flair that I'm sure is brought on by the director. It definitely also screams following trends. It does scream trying to copy the competition, because I'm not saying you can't do clips or you shouldn't do clips in movies, but it feels less like it's organic to the plot that's being expressed and the characters that are being expressed, and more of Marvel does this and that makes them money, so if we do this, then we'll make the money. Now, it's not the same as Shazam, because Shazam is a character where you can kind of do that. And the actors look like they believe what they're saying, so it comes off more as organic. This one, I don't get that vibe. And again, I don't really blame the actors so much as the writing for that. It could be the actors, but I haven't seen the movie yet, so that one's to wait and see. But the point is there are lines in this trailer that I just don't feel like come from the situation in the trailers. Like, it doesn't feel like it belongs there. Like, the question stuff doesn't feel like it belongs in this movie. It feels cynical. It feels like it feels less like they're doing this because they're passionate about it and they want to make it. They're just doing it because they want to ape what's popular and hopefully they can get more than what they spent on it. And even then, I'm kind of wondering how much they actually spent on this, because some of the effects in this one, especially because I rewatched it several times now, trying to figure out what I didn't like about it. Some of the effects, especially like early, the first shot in the trailer where Jason Momoa is a kid, or Aquaman's a kid, and he's standing in front of the aquarium glass, and the shark's kind of swimming there. It looks like it's something out of Sharknado. It doesn't feel like many people involved wanted to make it, except like maybe Jason Momoa and maybe James Wan. I don't know how he feels about this movie personally. I don't have a lot of faith in the studio that they have a lot of faith in this movie. Now, again, like any of the other ones I've shit on before, I'm hoping I'm wrong, because I want Aquaman to be good. He's a character that deserves a good movie. But I don't think Warner Brothers thinks it's gonna be good. So, I don't know. That's my thoughts on Aquaman. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Am I right? Am I wrong? Do you disagree? How so? I would love to hear your counterpoints, because movies aren't fun if we all agree on it, right? So let's talk about it. Let me know your comments below. And if there's a trailer that's out that you want me to take a look at and give some of my opinions on, let me know in the comments as well, and I'll look over it. Until then, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Take care.